Chapter 3, Video 3, The Biosphere, Communities and Ecosystems. Biosphere interactions, communities, and ecosystems are very important. We want to define a few things before we talk about interactions. A community consists of all the populations that inhabit a certain area. The size of a community can range from very large to very small. An ecosystem is the community plus its physical environment. Two important concepts include that community analysis is structural because it emphasizes the distribution of organisms through space and time. What populations are there? What is the abundance of each population? Ecosystem analysis, however, is functional because it emphasizes the flow of energy and cycling of matter through the system. Some communities are closed with sharp boundaries or ecotones separating different clusters of species. For example, water, land boundaries, forest versus cleared land, mountain ranges, all can create ecotones or boundaries where species cannot tolerate abrupt changes in the environment so they don't overlap. However, most communities are open because of the overlapping ranges of their component populations. In any given area, most species are rare in communities, meaning that most are low in abundance, with one or more species dominating due to conditions that are optimal for them. The ability of one or two species to dominate is thought to occur through high resource exploitation or resource partitioning, where only a few select species are able to get all the resources they need all the time. A small change in conditions may determine which species is dominant. Diversity refers to how many types of organisms can be found in a community, not how abundant they are. Community diversity is important for resilience, so the community is less susceptible to environmental fluctuations. However, the level of importance placed on diversity varies with the respective community. And these figures show both closed and open communities. The closed communities on the left, you can see the ecotones place sharp boundaries on which species inhabit each community or ecosystem. On the graph on the right, the boundaries in open communities are more randomly distributed and much more overlap occurs. The graph on the right is in general what we see most of the time, and the graph on the left is what we see part of the time when we can find these sharp ecotones or changes in environment. The concept of community succession is the sequential replacement of species in a community by immigration of new species and local extinction of old ones. When we talk about pioneer species, these are the ones that colonize a site that was opened by disturbance. These populations are replaced by intermediate species, which are eventually replaced by a climax community. Succession occurs because each community, pioneer to climax, prepares the way for the stage that follows by altering the environment or the environmental traits. Succession is characterized Succession is characterized by several trends: decreasing productivity, as in photosynthesis, increasing diversity, as in immigration into the site, and increasing biomass, longer-lived, larger organisms. If you go to a volcanic island, for example, and observe new rock formation, pioneer species are always photosynthetic single-celled organisms called cyanobacteria. These bacteria are followed by other single-celled photosynthesizers like algae and heterotrophs that eat them. Once carbon is being fixed into cell material, succession can take place. Intermediate communities can grow, and climax communities can develop over time. Extreme physical environments can impede succession and keep populations full of pioneer species. These areas, such as littoral zones where the tide comes in and out, extremes of temperature such as hot springs or frozen deserts in Antarctica, or extremes of pressure like the bottom of the ocean or oxygen at the highest mountain peaks, all form sharp ecotones. And these environments are so distinct and sharp that succession cannot occur. I was at a conference in 2010 that focused on polar environments and how they are changing. The species that inhabit rocks and ice in Antarctica are highly specialized organisms that do not lead to succession. Global warming is shifting these environments a little bit at a time, but a 1 degree temperature shift at the equator results in a 10 to 15 degree temperature shift at the poles. So change there is happening rapidly, and people want to know what that means. Communities vary in structure, but are alike in that they all carry out basic processes. In general, the basic categories are energy flow through the system and matter cycling around the system. All organisms either do photosynthesis or eat to stay alive, causing energy and matter to flow through the community.